and Seinfeld.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Content Podcast. My name is Jerome Cuson, as always, joined by Brian. And this month, we are doing something very special. We are honoring those that we lost in the year 2016. 2016 was a year that we saw so many incredible celebrity deaths. The first one we are going to discuss here tonight is Muhammad Ali, and we are going to honor Muhammad Ali by discussing a documentary that was made about the 1974 fight, the Rumble in the Jungle, between George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. The name of the documentary is When We Were Kings. It is the Academy Award winning documentary feature for the year 1996. As always, please leave a 4 or 5 star review on Apple and Spotify to get those algorithms going. Please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Click the bell icon for notifications. And Brian, all I can say is this is legitimately one of the best documentaries that's ever been made. And the best part is it is 89 minutes.
I think the best part is that there's no narrator, and I think that's incredible for a documentary to pull it off, where you got no narrator, but you got a narrative that sinks the audience in. So very well done with the editing. Like the editing is very well done, where you just use the footage that's there, and I think there's only 4 interviews, like ridiculous. So
Yeah, I
taking
mean,
4 interviews
you're,
and
you're,
an
you're
archive interview and just boom, and you get 89 minutes of goodness, so or greatness, I should
yeah,
say.
you
So
get the great George Plimpton, Norman Mailer, who I definitely want to be when I grow up. That's the case. We also are pairing this with a right match. What a right match we are pairing it with. We are pairing it with the WrestleMania 1 main event that Muhammad Ali also was involved with. We will discuss that match a little bit later. When We Were Kings, this is my suggestion. Brian, had you seen this documentary before?
yeah, when I was a kid, I actually watched it on Movieplex. I don't know if you remember that channel,
Time
but
to
maybe.
Bleed Alive. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so you did get Movieplex. Okay, so it wasn't a premium channel. It was like one of the rare movie channels that we got that would show uncut movies on cable, like on the cable package. It wasn't
Well,
premium.
Brian, if you remember, AMC used to do that before they got commercials.
I know. And this was the same time frame, so Movieplex was trying to compete, but Movieplex only didn't like they didn't have a strong library. I think the strongest movies they played were this and Quiz Show, I believe. Those were like the two strongest. The other ones were like random 80s movies or like the kind of movies that would see like John Ritter and like that Stay Tuned movie. Those kind of level of movies, you know what I'm saying? But luckily one night this was playing and I think I recorded it too actually because I was like on recording spree when I got these like blank tapes when I learned how to record things on the VCR. And I was making those compilation movie tapes, right? And this kind of filled in the gap. I think I put this with Clerks, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Um, but yeah, I remember it clearly, and I haven't watched it since. So I was telling Jerome, this is the first time I've seen this movie in widescreen because the Movieplex channel was still full screen. So it was like, wow, I've never seen this in widescreen before. And I watched it on my laptop, and I was like, wow, this is actually a lot better than. And again, this is the experience I'm having. If I can't remember a movie since the time of the VHS that I watched it, it turns out that it seems like a totally different movie because widescreen is a different experience. So, and it's rare that happens because usually I'll watch the DVD much later on in my childhood. But this, for some reason, man, this is one of those movies, and it just stuck out completely. And I was just like, wow, VHS totally destroyed a lot of like classic movies back in the day, man. With this pan and scan shit, it just pisses me off now, knowing that it's such a big difference. But yeah, this is a great movie. I don't think it's on 4K. I think there's a Criterion on this. I was thinking about getting because it's only $20.
There is a
Uh,
Criterion. You can buy it on Blu-ray for
I just
sure.
don't like the cover. I don't like the cover, but that's a whole other
It is
story.
a
But
weird color because it's only Ali, and it feels kind of disrespectful because I mean the movie is
yeah, I
intended to
think
be about.
it should be like a mural or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, it
but
should be Ali Foreman, and it
it
should
was a
also be the
yeah, it's a
musicians as
stock
well.
photo, but yeah, so it's weird. But the Criterion, I think, is like I said, $20. Um, I'm just thinking about picking up some Criterions lately, and it was on my list, so we'll see. Because I just watched it, and I was like, man, this would be a great like Blu-ray upgrade. So, because the version I watched was on the Roku channel, I think you may have watched it on the same or something, or maybe you rented it on YouTube, but there is a better quality version of this out there, even though this is like an upgrade from what I saw as a kid. So,
I watch it on a pretty random streaming station, so I was
yeah,
able to find it. But I mean, it's a
yeah,
really good documentary, and I mean, the story is that this filmmaker was going to make something about both the 1974 musical fest, the festival that was taking place in the country, and also make a movie about Ali and Foreman. And what ended up happening is Ali and Foreman got postponed by about a month because Foreman's cut his eye and the wound needed to recover, so he needed about a month or 6 weeks for that to happen. And this is all taking place in a country with a brutal dictator. It is such a fascinating contrast to morals because you have this idea of, oh, Ali and Foreman are returning to Africa. They're returning to the home country, but it's run by a dictator. Muhammad Ali is this crusader for freedom in so many ways, and stood up to the federal government about being against Vietnam. But he's also kind of in bed with this dictator. Is also a notorious womanizer as well. So this is a movie that doesn't necessarily get into all of those contradictions, but it is an incredible story of Muhammad Ali being this underdog and taking on the mighty George Foreman, who at this point had defeated Joe Frazier, just absolutely destroyed him to win the World Heavyweight Championship just a year earlier. And Ali had defeated Frazier to become the number one contender and get this fight. And everybody thought that Foreman was going to win. So, Brian, I want your thoughts. There's a Howard Cosell promo at towards the beginning of this, and we really don't get a lot of Howard Cosell in this because he is not the focal point of the story. There have been books written, there have been documentaries made about the relationship between Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali. This is not really what that's about. But please tell me you agree that Vince McMahon ripped his shtick completely off of Howard Cosell.
Muhammad Ali, former heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah, it's kind of, you can see Vince kind of ripped him off a little bit. But I guess that's kind of the tone of the 70s sportscaster, right? Because 70s sportscasters were kind of like safe at the time. Am I allowed to say that? The 80s is where they kind of started to get a little over the top, and then John Madden kind of made it that like larger than life kind of thing as a sports broadcaster kind of thing. Howard Cosell is a very like restrained kind of personality, right? So
I mean,
it
he's
kind
a
of
big
matches.
personality, and he's trying to go for this intelligent. He's going for the
Yeah,
intelligentsia part of
yeah, and
things.
that's what Vince was doing in the 70s. If you watch that old footage with him and Andre, it's like he's trying to be straight laced. He has like very little emotion, right? But I could see the Howard Cosell connection you were making. So
Well, I
as soon
think
as I
the
saw it, I was like, I see what you're saying. Especially like if you put Andre the Giant right next to him, right there, it's like, oh yeah, that's classic Vince from like '78 on the WWF
right
or
when he's working for his dad, he's a very different
Yeah,
commentator. Like
yeah. The
you hear
tone is
some of
like
the verbal
completely different.
ticks. You
Yeah.
hear some of the verbal ticks, but it's very different. And I want to come back to Vince McMahon's commentary when we talk about Muhammad Ali later with the WrestleMania one main event. We're going to table that for now. But I think people when they think about George Foreman, they think of the big personality. He's bald. He's fat. He's jovial. Like he's an old man. He's got his grill. But like this guy was regarded as kind of a bad man in the 70s, and it's crazy to me how different like that afro and the facial hair make him look. Like he looks so much more like a tough badass.
Yeah, and that overall look that he was rocking with the hat and the cap, that was great. He's got a great sense of style, man. So I gotta admit, man, for the enemy they were trying to make him out, or for the enemy that Muhammad Ali was trying to make him out to be just for the publicity of the fight, he's such a cool dude. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a really down to earth dude, and we know he's a family man and a man of God. And it sucks to hear that every time I watch or you kind of read about this fight is the 2 year depression, and it sucks, man, because it really affected
I
his
mean, he
career.
basically went into retirement after this, and it's
Yeah,
worth
it
pointing out
sucks.
that basically the way I mean Muhammad Ali is a carny. Like he is as much of a worker as anyone. And the biggest thing with Ali is that all of his opponents, like when they were black, like that's kind of his whole shtick was, oh, they're not black enough. And I don't know. I definitely I can't speak to that necessarily. I'm not a black man myself, but I don't know. It's not ideal. I don't necessarily know that it would be acceptable these days. But I mean, look, it's Muhammad Ali. He got away with it when he did, and of course, he is. I mean, with what he did, like that's why he was. When you can talk trash and get away with it, like that is that changes things.
And we know that with the Conor McGregors and whatnot of the modern UFC era, and I'll make that Dana White Don King connection in a bit. But yeah, it's just this documentary. I think I don't know. I just feel like the footage and everything is such a tone, right? Like it's such a vibe. This movie with the music and everything, and then
Yeah, this movie is
seeing,
all about
yeah,
like this documentary is all
yeah,
about.
and
I
then
mean,
seeing like George Foreman, like it's such a young George Foreman compared to what as a '90s kid we're used to because of the grill and the late '90s or I should say late '90s, mid '90s run, coming back as world champion at age 44 or whatever the fuck it was. Like that's the Foreman that I know, but to see him like this is like it's always like fascinating to me to see that, and it reminds me of like a Ron Simmons, right, where he was kind of bright and colorful early in his career, and then he went like a darker kind of tone path. But he didn't go. He didn't go like the family route. But you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of like it kind of reminded me of Ron Simmons. Kind of shades of like the
I mean,
Junkyard Dog Butch
all
Reed
of
feud.
his kids are named George, which is really weird, or Georgina.
That's just I've heard stories
What a
about those kind of
gimmick!
families. You know what I mean? It's like the Willy Wonka
It's a
thing.
gimmick, man. It is a real
It's the Willy
gimmick.
Wonka thing. So yeah. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of the JYD Butch Reed feud, which if you ever watched Mid South, I recently watched Mid South TV on a run like a couple years ago on YouTube, and basically this it's their feud is like Butch Reed didn't want to be the kind of black athlete that wanted to be a hero. He wanted to be the black athlete that makes money for himself and wanted to was willing to be like the loud athlete and not be the hero to kids. And JYD wanted to be that hero to kids, right? And there's that distinction from being the pressure of having that being a black athlete to being a hero to your people, or like do you want to just be an athlete for yourself and be selfish? And that was kind of the crust or the gist of their feud, right? Like that kind of makes sense within the black community, which is why Bill Watts ironically booked that. So there's a lot of parallels I see between that and the Ali Foreman kind of feud. You know what I mean? But it's just kind of crazy that just I don't know. The 6 weeks is like the fascinating part to me. Like I think there's a whole mini series here surrounding these 6 weeks in the build up. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a long time
It
to
is
be
a
held
very
up.
long.
It's to be held up in another country. Like we've heard these stories, especially when there was like when during COVID, people got stuck in different countries for like extended periods of time. So it's very fascinating that story. And then the musicians stayed there the whole time, right? Or maybe I don't know if they came back or what, but that was another part of it. And then, of course, you got the reporters there, and they stayed for the extra 6 weeks. And plus, the story of you mentioned the dictator, what he captured 1,000 criminals, put them underground. He put them under the stadium, right? Is that what officially what they were saying? Is that he put him in a prison under the stadium
Yep.
again for the extended 6 weeks, and then randomly killed 100 just to like scare all the other criminals still on the streets to like you better not fucking do anything during this event because this is the most like prime time we're ever gonna get for our country. So you know what I mean? Like it's very like gangsterish, but it's for the people. But like I don't know, it's very gray matter in terms of like what a promoter
Well, the thing
does.
that's amazing to me is that you get this happening where the fight is taking place in a completely other country, and this is before pay per view and closed circuit even. So, I mean, this is airing at like 10 o'clock at night, and I would just love to see like how this was covered and just things have changed so much. Like if you have a primetime fight at this point, like it's not going to be in Africa, like that's for sure. Like it might be in Saudi Arabia at this point. Like if we had the equivalent of something like this, and obviously boxing is playing a different role in our culture. It's not nearly as big, but I think that what makes this so interesting to me is that you have you have Don King who's the promoter, and I mean anybody who's a promoter, like I generally have like this very skeptical view because what is Don King really doing? What is Dana White really doing? What is Nick Khan? And I mean, even Vince McMahon as a promoter, like, what are these guys really doing besides cashing in on the people who have the talent? And I mean, Don King is notorious for taking money from some of the most famous boxers of all time, and I think people see him as this, oh, he's the guy with the weird hair, but like, I mean, what he did to so many boxers is really shitty, and I mean, it feels like it's gotten lost.
So I think we got to kind of explain the money setup for this because it kind of shows you how smart Don King is, I guess. So
I mean, he
basically,
is smart.
so he promised both fighters five
I
million,
I
right?
totally forgot. He is still with us, by the way. Don King is
Yeah,
93
knock on
years.
wood. We got to knock on wood on that because of what happened with the Moonlighting producer. Rest
Oh
in
man,
peace.
yeah. Jay
But
Daniel passed away
yeah,
just after
I'm sorry,
our
man.
last
We did knock
recording.
on wood. We feel bad on that one. That's our fault.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, with the Don King thing, it's like so he promised both fighters 5 million. He didn't have 10 million. Where are you gonna get 10 million? He went to the country. What's this country again? The Congo in
Zaire.
Zaire. And so he's like, if you give me the money to give to them, we'll host the fight here. And so he basically like didn't have to pay them. It's like the country paid him, right? Like that's essentially what happened. And it became
I
this
mean,
giant
it's
countrywide
not
deal.
all that dissimilar from what Saudi Arabia is doing. I mean, it's different because I mean, essentially you have the government of Zaire who is really one person, but like Saudi Arabia does this shit all the time. I mean, they're the ones that are putting money, or they did put money up for Live Golf. I don't know if that's the case anymore because of all the stuff that's going on right now. But I mean, they're the ones that spend 50 million. They give WWE $50 million to come to their country 2 or 3 times a year, including for the Royal Rumble this year and Wrestlemania next year.
So, yeah, so that's the vibes that I was kind of getting, and that the fact that like he was able to come up with this idea and not get the 10 million out of his own ass to pay him. You know what I'm saying? Like that's promoter. That's a promoter thinking kind of thing. So good on him, I guess, because he pulled off a hell of a deal, man. And then the extended 6 weeks, you got to think like the housing costs, right? For the reporters there and the training teams there and the housing and the fact that they in the beginning of the documentary they kind of show you that they really
Mm.
didn't have a lot of AC going around and
Oh
like
no, not
monsoon
1974.
season was like around the corner, so you're risking like getting flooded in the country for an even
Yep.
more extended period of time. So like I'm telling you, there's a really fascinating miniseries within this 6 week story here. Like you can
Yeah.
open up the series with the cut and then go from there, and then obviously lead to the final fight.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of storytelling here with a lot of players and a lot of characters, man. Because there's a lot of fascinating stuff. Like, what's James Brown doing there? What is this? What is James Brown doing there? Is he just getting a paycheck? Does he
Have you
care?
ever heard the rumor? And there's an entire podcast series about James Brown being in the CIA.
No, but why not? Why not? I mean, he did record "Living in America" for crying out loud.
The CNN did something called the James Brown Mystery, and again, there is this rumor that James Brown was associated with the CIA.
Well, we just had a mayor. Was it a mayor? I don't know. A mayor in like Orange County get outed as a Chinese
I heard that.
uh, traitor. So who the fuck knows anymore, man? So
Yes.
I
So
it would not surprise me.
can I tell you what a worker Don King is?
I mean, you want to do the quote that I texted you? Is that what you're
I
going
mean,
for?
no. I want to talk about his political support. He supported George Bush in 2004, Barack Obama in 2008 and 12, and he is also a known supporter of the current occupant of the White House. So that is the worker that Don King is, going where the wind blows.
I believe The Rock has done that. Wink, wink.
I
Yeah,
mean,
there's yeah,
Carney's
yeah.
Carney's man.
Jim
I tell
Ross,
you.
I believe.
And
Yeah.
you failed to mention that Don King was in a Miami Vice episode.
Yes, because I think he was in that two-parter that I mentioned as Zito, because that was the boxing one. I'm pretty
Yep,
sure it was that one.
he is absolutely. Oh, and he was in.
Justice for Zito.
I
Justice for Zito.
totally forgot that he was in a moonlighting episode as well. So it all
Holy
comes back.
shit! Oh my god. Okay, what episode? Do you know what season?
Season 3, episode 3, as himself.
Okay, so perfect timing for both cameos, right? Because I think that might have been the same time, dude. It was that was '87.
That's amazing.
Told you, man. Moonlighting in Miami, big connection. But yeah, this documentary, man. Again, it's like there's so much on the table, which again, I guess you want people wanting more. And there's all these other documentaries out there as well. But just something about an 89-minute movie as a documentary, no narrator, and you're relying on like 4 interviews that you can only get.
I
And
mean, the appeal
one
of
of them
this
is the writer from
documentary.
who's that writer again from the baseball doc that we love with his voice.
George Plimpton, he's
Yep,
great.
yep.
Norman Mailer is even better. I mean, he's on a heater in this one. Like he is. this is Buck O'Neill in baseball level greatness, and the way that he explains the punch, that's I mean that's some of the most compelling stuff. You just don't get that in documentaries because everything is so controlled now. But to get that level of insight is pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's been with the overreach punch that Foreman didn't train for because no one ever
Yeah,
does that.
because
Yeah, just
nobody's dumb enough to do it,
hey,
and he was dumb
that's
enough to do
strategy,
it.
man. And then like this idea that like, okay, well, I guess it connects to wrestling too. The big man, little man, like formula kind of comes from this, if you want to say, where it's like the big guy always gets too tired by like the 15-minute mark, makes a mistake because he's too big, and then that's where the babyface comes back and
And
wins,
gets
right? Like
himself frustrated,
right, like
which is what
Morishima
Foreman
and
did.
Bryan Danielson, Bret Hart and Yokozuna, Vader Sting, like even the Vader Sting match from Starrcade, I think specifically mentions like Jim Ross goes, well, it worked in Ali and Foreman, and then it ended up becoming an Ali Foreman kind of moment. So, and I think it kind
Yep,
of works in like all kind of, I wouldn't say all fights, but the strategy of if you're a much smaller guy in a fight, let the bigger guy just outwin himself, which is kind of
punch
true. Like
himself out. Yep,
yeah, and not only that, but like he took a was it a right uppercut and he just went down. It was like he was too tired to like respond. It was crazy. So if you watch the footage, it's a hell of a fight, man. Because you think that Muhammad Ali is just going to get slaughtered by the end of it because he's getting like in the corner. He can't get out, but then he's like swinging around and moving around, and you notice that he's not really connecting Foreman. And then it's like all of a sudden, like this, he gets out of the corner, does a 360, corners Foreman a little bit, and then knocks him with this uppercut, and then Foreman just knocks to the ground, dude. And it's like this legendary all-time moment. Um, yeah, it's some great footage, man. So definitely worth checking out. If you want to watch the whole uncut fight, I'm sure it's on YouTube or something, but it's an all-time moment in
ESPN
boxing and
aired it
sports
all the
history.
time, so I would imagine that it
Yeah,
was.
it's a hell of a moment, man. Strategy up 100% A plus strategy.
Absolutely. So, anything else that we want to say about this? For me, this is an 8.5 out of 10. This is a
Yeah,
must-watch
I'm an eight and a
documentary, in
half
my
out of 10 as
opinion.
well. And yeah, I would totally recommend watching this if you've never watched it before. I would say this is gives you a better feel of like Ali as a person than like the actual Ali movie that Michael Mann made. I know we're kind of off and on talking about Michael Mann's greatness and maybe his misses, but I think we both agree that Ali's kind of a miss, and this is more of like the Ali that
It is
we know.
shockingly not great.
I don't know. It just seems like a total like miss. I don't know what it is. There's some kind of like attitude behind it, maybe like Ali's not as great as you think, and we're gonna kind of make him like a real person
I just
idea. When
don't. I don't think biopics. Just as a general rule, I think it's really hard to do a biopic. But doing a Muhammad Ali biopic when we have so much footage of him, we've seen him fight, we've heard him talk. Like I like Will Smith well enough, but Will Smith is not Muhammad Ali, and
I know it sucks
it's
because he was at the right time of his career to land a role like that, and it was like, oh yeah, that
and he
kind of makes
really,
sense.
I mean, he was really horny for an
And then
Oscar.
it ends up the guy end up getting the person end up getting nominated as Howard Cosell. I mean, John Voight as Howard Cosell. He's the only one that gets
Yeah,
nominated in
which
terms of
is
the acting.
really fucked up.
But I think it deserved. Wait, was that the one they got also best makeup just for him? Was that the
I
one?
think so. Yeah,
Because that was an incredible makeup job. If you've never seen that, you got to. Ali does have an incredible makeup job where they turn John Voight into Howard Cosell, and it's pretty goddamn good for the time. It's like no CGI,
yeah.
so yeah. So on to Mania. Um,
So the WrestleMania one main event with a very drunk Billy Martin being the ring announcer, and Muhammad Ali is the guest referee. And undoubtedly, I mean, I feel like what makes this so amazing is Muhammad Ali actually had appeared for the WWF years earlier, and it was in means of helping to promote his match with Antonio Inoki. And did you watch the? So we are recording this on the 50th anniversary of that. Did you watch the clip?
I didn't watch the clip you sent me, but I've seen that match before because it ends with Gorilla
Did
Monsoon
you
coming in
have
the
you
ring, right?
listened to the commentary? Because Vince McMahon is
No,
burying Muhammad Ali on commentary. It's really
really.
interesting. Oh yeah, he's burying him for like
Oh,
not
wait a
being a
minute.
wrestler and stuff.
Wasn't Muhammad Ali doing a heel shtick against Monsoon? Or
I
am I gonna
mean,
getting it
not
reversed?
necessarily a heel. I mean, what's a heel shtick from Muhammad Ali? It's a shtick. Like it's not. I
Because
don't
I think the
necessarily
idea
know
is
that
that
it's.
McMahon is siding with Inoki as the wrestler, right? I think that's the concept.
I
Like
mean,
I got to
maybe,
side
but
with my pro
like,
wrestler side.
I mean, he's one of the people who promoted the fights or the match, so it would not surprise me. But it's really interesting. I mean, to me, it comes across more like, oh, here's this outsider who's coming into the world of wrestling who doesn't know what the hell he's doing and he's going to get his ass whipped. That's how it comes across more so to me. But then you contrast that with the commentary here, where Gorilla Monsoon, ironically enough, is speaking very reverently of Muhammad Ali, and even Jesse Ventura is being very respectful, even though he's the heel commentator. So the way that they treat Muhammad Ali in 1985 is very different than the way they treated him in 1976, and that is very much a representation of kind of how the WWF goes forward in terms of bringing in celebrities and almost treating them as being as important, if not more so, than the wrestlers that are there.
Well, to my understanding was like Muhammad Ali was gonna work more with the WWF, but it just never happened because he had more fights and then got hurt and then the concussions, right? Like was
Well,
that
I mean, it's not. I mean, he was diagnosed in 1984. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's. So
right? And then in
anything
80,
that could have happened
yeah.
would never have happened.
So that's probably why they kind of do the 180 on him on the commentary because you can't heal a guy that's got Parkinson's, obviously, right?
Oh,
So
I mean, of course, but I'm just saying it's a really
yeah.
fascinating.
Because
I
my,
mean,
my
just the
thinking
way
is whenever I watch that '70s footage and then he's on like Gorilla Monsoon does the what do you call it? Not the spinner, Rudy. The what do you
airplane
call it?
spin.
Airplane spin. It just feels like they're building up to this big like garden match that never happens, right? So something had to have happened in between that time because why would you do an angle like that that leads to nothing? Like that's always the philosophy. If you do an angle like that, it's got to lead to a money match or some kind of payoff, and it doesn't. So that's my theory is that Muhammad Ali was going to get more involved. It's just, he probably couldn't handle it, right? Like mental, I mean, not mentally, but like his brain. And at this point, like in what, late 70s, he was already kind of showing some signs. And this fight was 74, right, with Foreman. So
Yeah,
you
if
don't
you
see the signs yet.
if you watch some of the footage from the so ESPN did a 30 for 30 on Muhammad Ali versus Larry Holmes, and in 1980 you can already see and hear it. I mean, it's absolutely
That's what I'm saying. I think they kind of know like, oh, we can't have Ali and Gorilla in the garden anymore. Kind of, you know what I mean? Like that's the vibe that I get from that. So leading into this match, it's like, okay, when I'm a kid, like it says, Muhammad Ali's the ref, and you're like, who's this white guy in the ring? And you find out later it's Pat Patterson, right? So we know now it's because he
Pat
has Parkinson's.
Patterson, who has officiated two matches in the history of WrestleMania, those two matches being this one and the WrestleMania 11 main event involving Lawrence Taylor. So I don't think it's any coincidence that the only two matches that he has officiated were two of the more prominent celebrity wrestling matches of all time.
And I like to call this the Pat Patterson special because we know that Pat Patterson can book a match. And he books it where he books the strengths of the wrestlers and the performers, right? So when Mr. T, it's like they're gonna expect Hogan to come in and start the match, right? So he kind of starts the match, but then all of a sudden Mr. T's like, let me in right now. I want to have this guy, right? And he gets this hot tag really early on that you're not really expecting till later on till Hogan gets some shit in, right? So then that's
And Mr. T is
booking towards his
perfectly
strengths,
competent at
right?
doing hip toss and
Yeah, one of the best
doing a
hip
couple
tosses you'll ever
things.
see in my. That's one of the
Well,
best hip
I'm
tosses I've
sure
ever
you
seen.
have to give a lot of the credit to Piper for selling it for him, and
Well,
I'm
that too, but
sure.
it's the fucking okay. So when you do a normal hip toss, you can either like not snap your hip, or just throw the guy with your arm, or you can throw the guy with your arm and snap your hip and make it look fucking like dangerous. And that's what Mr. T did. So he got the mechanics down on that and the way you're supposed to do it. So good on him. But with Muhammad Ali coming in and like have to separating out like the early brawl, that's a Pat Patterson moment where he knows how to book a guy to his strength, and you want to feature Muhammad Ali because you advertise them and give him this moment where he's like being the guy that's going to be okay. Break it up, motherfuckers. I'm Muhammad Ali. You're not going to get one on me. Break it up, right? And that's the moment that you get early on in the match, and it really is effective. And that's Pat Patterson booking 101 right there. Kind of like if you watch Warrior and Hogan, it's booked 50-50, exactly 50-50 for a reason, right? Because in the fans' eyes, they're 50-50. So he books it to the right, ratio of the fans, right? So there's a lot of moments in this where like you don't expect Mr. T to be like a
I
like
mean,
a
he has
good
a very,
wrestler.
very good reputation for a reason. I mean,
Yeah,
regardless of some of the allegations, I mean, in terms of being a booker, he knew what he was doing.
for sure. And then like for instance, like Mr. T, like we know he can't wrestle, right? But we know he can do a hip toss, he can do a body slam, probably can't do a drop kick, but he can do groundwork apparently. So what does Piper do? He works him on the ground immediately, and we showed like this amateur work, and it makes it seem like, oh my God, Mr. T is like this great amateur wrestler that we don't know about. And Jesse Ventura puts him over. So when you get Jesse Ventura putting you over, I think that elevates you a lot more because going into the match, he doesn't respect the guy. Like, how is he going to do as a wrestler, Monsoon? And then shows his stuff. And then, Jesse's like, wow, he's a real athlete, Monsoon. I was wrong. Well, he doesn't say that, but you know what I'm saying? Like that tone, that the 180 Jesse turn that he does sometimes. And yeah, it's a fun match. And, Hogan does his thing. I don't even think there's a leg drop, right? I don't think there's a boot. Like the crowd is so into it that you can kind of get away with those kind of things. The one thing that always drives me nuts about this, and that's because more recent stuff has come out, is the Jimmy Snuka thing, and I've been really more negative on Jimmy Snuka like since then. And this kind of like, just kind of reminds me of what he did, and that's unfortunate. But he does have a spot in the match that the crowd did pop at, and if you think about it, this could have been a 6-man tag, but I think they didn't want to put Jimmy's name in the headlines, if you know what I'm saying, around this time, because
No, I mean they were phasing him out at this point. I mean he was basically he was donezo by the end of the year, and he wouldn't come back until like 1989.
yeah, when people forgot or there wasn't. I mean, if the internet was back then, I think he would have gone to jail a lot quicker. You know what I'm saying?
I
Um,
don't know, man. Like money
because
talks,
I
and
think
clearly
the outcry would have like been
maybe.
more
I mean,
awareness
but
through it.
look at some of the people who are. I mean, Brock Lesnar's in WWE right now, and he shouldn't be because his name is literally attached to one of the what should be a major scandal of sex trafficking. So I
I
don't
get you.
necessarily know
I
that that's
get
the
you.
case.
But this is man, it's bad memories, man. If you don't know, just look it up. What Jimmy Snuka did to that poor
This is a good
girl.
match. I mean, I would say this is a perfectly acceptable match. It's definitely not the best match in WrestleMania history, but clearly it is making a statement, and it
And
is
and I
hugely
think
important.
they learned that they need more space around the ring if you're going to do these like elaborate entrances because it's like they were kind of learning on the fly because
A
they brought
lot
out
of
all these
photographers.
a lot of photographers, like the dancers come in and Liberace can barely like get into the ring because there's so many people around the ring, and
I mean,
just
that's
just
really the only difference between this match, between this event and any other Madison Square Garden event. I mean, it basically looks the same, but there's so many more
like
goddamn
even
photographers.
WrestleMania, what 10 didn't have this many people around the ring because they learned their lesson. I
No,
think.
no, WrestleMania 11 had a lot of photographers though, which is weird.
Oh, that's because of the. I think they were trying to do like the sports event feel with Lawrence
I think
Taylor.
they were too, but like Shawn Michaels almost like killed one of them.
Well, that's Shawn Michaels. If you get in his way and it's 1995, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Like he's either gonna yell at you or try to get you fired or some shit. And that's not just a Vader story, but yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, just because not only that, like the Piper entrance had God knows how many fucking bagpipe players that like should not have been even near the ring because it was just there was no room to walk. Like imagine a fire broke out at that moment, dude. Like they have nowhere to go. So I can imagine backstage being just completely like overwhelmed with celebrities and random people and like you know what I mean? And Cindy Lauper's crew still in the back, like a lot of random celebrities in that building at WrestleMania 1. So fun main event. I yeah, 7 out of 10 or something like that, but it's more nostalgia than anything.
It is definitely nostalgia. Speaking of nostalgia, next week we are going to talk about a movie that is so it's got it's literally got some of the most amazing musical moments that I've ever seen in a movie, and it also has some of the worst plot points ever in a movie. We are going to talk about the completely deranged but well worth talking about Purple Rain.
Yeah, it's a movie, but I
I
just
I it's a weird one, folks. Like I can't
spoiler
even
alert,
begin.
I recommend the soundtrack and that's about it. But
Again, it is an incredible, like the musical portions of this movie are transformative, and then the music stops,
yeah,
and you're
and
wondering
we'll
what the
we'll talk
fuck
about
is
that because
going
they
on.
I guess the live recordings were so good it ended up becoming the actual like soundtrack and they didn't need to actually record
As
in
it
studio apparently.
should.
Yeah, so that's the story. I have to confirm all that detail because that's allegedly the reason why it sounds the way it does because it's like also live, but also in a small studio or not studio, but small building. So you get that kind of sound. It's very specific, but it's very like legendary in itself. And to kind of tie into that, we're not going to do a right match, but I just wanted to point out that this is kind of when PWG started to name shows after dead celebrities. It started with Bowie earlier in the year, and once it became Prince, it started to become like a weird omen of what's to come. And then by the end of the year, we didn't have any more names like that. But once fucking what's his name, George Michael died on Christmas, you knew something was up. So.
All right. So for Brian, I'm Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you again next week.